Hey Kathleen, it's Shane here from the iMoot team. I just want to jump in now and just say thanks for giving your time to share with us today, and yeah, looking forward to seeing your presentation. And you're welcome to start whenever you want. I think people will probably join in as they get from the other session into this one and get their coffees. So I'll leave it to you to kick off whenever you're ready.
Okay, Shane, thanks a lot. Um, sure, well, we might as well start. And then, as you say, the first few slides are start up anyway, so um, as people come along, hopefully they won't miss too much. All right, so as you can see, my name's Kathleen Stewart, and just so that you can see, I don't want to leave my webcam on because I tend to forget that it's on, and sometimes you can do some pretty strange things when you forget you have your webcam on and you're sitting at home. So you can see that's me down there. Hi, everybody. I'm Kathleen Stewart. I work at Nova Scotia Community College in Nova Scotia, Canada, and I'm here along with my colleague Dave Arthur, and we are full-time IT faculty, information technology faculty at the college. It's the Nova Scotia Community College. We call it the NSCC, acronyms for everything, right? So that's me. I'm going to turn my webcam off now because you've seen my beautiful mug and you don't need to see it anymore. If anybody else wants to share their webcam, they're more than welcome to do that. And I muted everybody to start off with, but if you want to talk, then by all means unmute yourself. The reason for this presentation, I've been Moodling since 2006, and it has been a real grassroots adventure for me. And so and Dave and I, and there are other people at our college as well. And so eventually we got to the point where we thought maybe we've done this enough that we can share our experiences with others. When I've gone to iMoots, Moodle Moots, conferences that have Moodle sessions in the past, I always like the sessions where people tell their stories, and those are the ones that I've always learned the most from. So I thought maybe now that we actually have a story, 8 years on, that maybe we could do the same sort of thing, and maybe somebody else would get an idea from us about how to start a Moodle, expand a Moodle, customize a Moodle, so that it makes sense for their organization. All right, so this one is a poll of the users. There aren't very many of us here, but we can still play this game if you want to. I just want to show of hands how many people are in these various roles in their organization. So not just in your organization, in the Moodles that you work with. How many of you have these various roles? So what I'd like to do is just say what the role is, and if that's what you are, then you can just raise your hand. Well, software developer, yeah, like if you develop modules for Moodle, that would be another. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't think of that. But that's okay. We can put it in there. That's great. So, teacher. How many of you are teachers? Can I raise my hand? I guess I can't. If I'm so nobody's a teacher? Oh, Dave, you are? Yes. We have one lonely teacher here. There's one. Okay. Now, I'm going to lower your hand. So you can see how I'm just playing with the software here. All right, a system administrator. That is that you administer Moodle, and that's your primary position. Dave again, right? So actually, we have two because I'm one of those as well. And if truth be told, I'm a teacher as well. How about curriculum developer? Are any of you guys curriculum developers? Oh, sorry, Dave, I meant to lower your hand. Maybe are any of you curriculum developers? Managers? And by manager, I mean like an academic chair, department head, a Moodle manager, perhaps, a manager. So this is sort of on the school side. You manage a number of people. Students, are any of the students? Learner, system admin. Oh, there's a curriculum developer. Okay. Now, system admin, that should be 2. That should be 3 now. 2. Students, or is anybody a student? Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. Yeah. Can you tell that I'm learning how to do this? So I wanted to change this. So that was 1. This one's up to 4. The curriculum developer, I think we had a couple there. And under other, I know Tim's other because he's a... Yeah, I noticed that. And I thought I could put it right over top of it, and it wouldn't let me do that either. So that's all right. So that gives us an idea of who's doing what. I'm actually a teacher as well, so I should have put 2 down there. And that's an important point about what we're doing here, is that Dave and I are primarily we're teachers. So that's what we look like. But that's good to know who we're speaking to, because some of these slides that we have are quite technical, and if there weren't any system administrators here, then it might not be worth spending any time on them. Okay, so if you have any questions or comments as we go along, please type in the chat window, or if you raise your hand, we'll try to keep an eye on that. And Dave Arthur is my colleague. He and I will try to watch all the windows as we're going along and pay attention to anything that people are asking or commenting on. Yeah, a lot of people, Shane, a lot of people had other roles in previous lives. I was noticing that in the previous presentation that people had been teachers and then they became curriculum developers and so forth. So very often you're a blend of everything. So I said earlier that I wanted to tell a story, and so this is our story of how some dedicated faculty of the Nova Scotia Community College developed an underground Moodle railway to help students manage their learning. Now, the train analogy, I've used it a couple of times because I find it fits with our particular installation. Firstly, when we started out on this adventure, we didn't even know what Moodle was, so there's that. So once we learned what Moodle was and started using it, we weren't sure if it would work for what we needed it to do. And so as we went along, we became more confident, and it went from I think I can, to maybe I can, to I know I can, and now we're king of the world. So I don't know if you know the story of the little engine that could. I've got a link to the Wikipedia site on the in the presentation space in the iMoot if you want to go look it up. But the little engine that could had to go up over a big mountain to get to the town on the other side, and he wasn't at all sure that he could do it. So the trademark line is I think I can. The other trade analogy here is the underground Moodle railway. What's important to note in this scenario is we set up this Moodle without our organization's knowledge or blessing to start with. It was just, we are information technology teachers, and it was just another renegade move within the information technology department. Because we're well known for trying things. So it was just something that we were trying. And so it was very much underground, grassroots movement, flying below the radar, however you want to say it. We were mostly just interested in helping our students. And this seemed to be a good way to go about it. So first of all, I should explain who our organization is. I've mentioned NSCC a couple of times. We are the Nova Scotia Community College. Here is a picture of us from our website. Our website is www.nscc.ca. We have 13 sites in Nova Scotia, and we provide post-secondary education to 13,000 full and part-time learners. I want to make sure that I have notes here, and I'm just looking down at them as I go along. Make sure I tell you everything on every slide. For those of you who don't recognize Nova Scotia because you're not that familiar, here it is in context in North America. We're in Canada, on the east coast of Canada. And you'll notice as I scale the map, the pins for the NSCC don't really get any smaller, so it makes us look like we're huge in comparison to Canada. We're not. We're just, it's just that the pins are big. So there's Canada in the north of North America, and we're over here on the east coast. And if that still doesn't look familiar, here we are for the iMoot community within the world. So there's the NSCC, the appendage on the east coast of Canada. So that you should be able to see yourself there in relation to where we are. As I mentioned earlier, it's about noon on Thursday, May the 15th in Nova Scotia. So that's the time. It's the middle of the day, which is really good for us, and we really appreciate that. And I don't know where everybody else is from, but thanks for joining us, and good morning, afternoon, evening, night. So the presenters, this is me. I'm Kathleen Stewart, and back to the image of the NSCC campuses in Nova Scotia, the one with the yellow star there, that's my campus. I teach in the beautiful Annapolis Valley in Nova Scotia. My campus is in Middleton. So I'm at the Annapolis Valley campus in Middleton, which is a town of about 2,000 people, and our campus has between 400 and 500 students. And my colleague is Dave Arthur, and there's his star. He's at the Burridge campus in a town called Yarmouth, and Yarmouth has about 25,000 people, and I don't know how big your campus is, Dave. 500, 600, 700? So we are rural campuses of the Nova Scotia Community College, and that is really our ruralness makes the Moodle even more important because it allows our students at a distance to connect with our school. So what is this all about? Well, in the year 2006, it really came to a head. Our school it's a good school, and it's very well organized and managed, but it's also very protective because they want to make sure that they keep their computer systems safe. So it became difficult for the students to access their course resources 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. What they were finding was if they were inside the NSCC, like if they came to the school, to the actual physical site and logged in, then they had access to the resources. What we did was we had a common drive where we put all our information. So we had, you can see here on the right-hand side, on the common drive we had a folder for the programming program, and we'd have books there and PowerPoint slides and assignments and code samples and all the stuff that went along with teaching IT. But when students went home at night, they didn't have access to it. So that came to a head in 2006, and we got tired of the right thing I was going to say, but it wasn't even that so much. It was just a wish to give students greater access. The Internet was pervasive at that point, so there was no reason that we could think of why they shouldn't be able to access it, but the NSCC was locked down. So what we did temporarily at the Annapolis Valley campus was we had a Unix system that was outside the NSCC infrastructure, so it was externally accessible. So we moved our resources over to this Unix system, and the students could connect to that using, I don't know, PuTTY or NX or whatever it is that they wanted to use, and they could go there and get this stuff. That was okay, but it was a bit cumbersome because for one thing, you had to understand how to use the Unix system in order to access the stuff, and secondly, yes, that's right, you had to know how to tunnel into it. So for IT students, it was okay, but for the other students in the college, it was a bit of a chore. Around that same time, there was a research group within our college that won an HPF Hewlett-Packard Award for technology for teaching. So this research group, what they wanted to do was connect the local community to programs at our school, Geographic Information System programs, GIS programs. So they got this grant, and they started some community mapping, and they wanted to make all of their resources accessible to the people in the community, so they set up a Moodle. And so this is where the first time I ever heard about Moodle was in relation to this community sandbox. And for anybody that doesn't know, a sandbox is just like the sand pit that we have at the iMoot. It's just a place where people can go and play without fear of hurting anything. Really, it's sort of disconnected from any crucial information, but gives people the opportunity to work with the tools that are there. So you can see on this screen here, there's the community mapping, and there are the collaborations. This was part of the HP project that they had won the grant for. And what happened was, part of the research group was one of my colleagues who taught with me at the school. And he was talking about this Moodle community that they had. And I said, well, how about if you let us use that a little bit too? You know, it wouldn't, I'd create a separate category and put all the courses in there, but it would let us, have something that's simpler to access than this external Unix box that we had previously been using. So he said, yeah, sure. Made me an administrator of the system. And this is what I set up with this section right here, the Annapolis Valley Campus Core Courses. And these courses here are the ones that were created. So this is our first Moodle. It was version 1.7. It was hosted on a server in the United States who sold the HP project time and space for their Moodle. And we had two instructors, myself and my colleague, who was also part of the research group. We put 11 courses up, and there were about 50 users who made use of them. So pretty small to start with, but we were really happy with it because it gave the students what they had been asking for several years now. So from there, that worked for us for about a year and a half, and then the project was over. It was only a 2-year project. So at the end of June 2008, it was finished, and by then we were completely hooked on Moodle at our campus at ABC. So we now thought we can't live without this. So again, we couldn't wait for the organization to catch up with us and give us space where we could do this or set up an LMS for us, because it would just take too long. So instead what we did is we took another old server that we had lying around that had been used for another community project where we were setting up email for P-12 teachers in the local community. And that email project had ended when the province took over email for all the P-12 teachers, but we still had the server. So there we had a server. It was accessible to the internet. It wasn't being used for anything. We thought, why not? Why don't we try this ourselves? So we set up Moodle on this server. We created this little site that you see here. Our first Moodle was version 1.9, and it grew. they had heard of the work that we were doing on the HP project within my campus, so other instructors wanted to get involved. So I don't know if you can read what's here, but these are different programs within in our college, and this is what they're being used for. So we had 15 instructors, 38 courses, and about 500 users in our first Moodle. And it was great. It was wonderful. So here are the system specs for the first system. For all you system administrators, if you're interested in what the back end was, I won't be able to expand on this too much because this is Dave's thing and not mine so much. I'm more about the front end and he's about the back end. But I know on that first system, I asked my colleague who set it up, and he said that we had 2 Intel-based Sunfire V60s that were served in tandem for data replication. I know what that means. That means that the data was being written and read from 2 systems simultaneously, so that if one went down, the other one was there to replace it. So that was the first system that we had. It was 32-bit, and it had an Ubuntu operating system. And this is peculiar because I guess when you have a Sun system, you generally expect a Solaris operating system to go with it, but we didn't have. We used Ubuntu. I don't know why we used Ubuntu, but I know that we did. So those are the specs for our first system. Then later that year, in the end of October, in 2008, Dave and I went to Salt Lake City, Utah. This was a conference on information technology that we went to, and it took place at the conference center in Salt Lake City that they had built for the Olympics, which was a beautiful center, but that's kind of beside the point. But the point is that while we were at that conference, one of the sessions was about a small college in one of the Midwestern states in the United States who had developed their own Moodle. So it was given by the administrators of the Moodle, and I dragged Dave to that session because I wanted him to hear what was going on, and he had shown some interest in being involved in Moodle, so it was a win-win. So we went there, and Dave was so fascinated by what they had to say that he stayed for about a half hour after the session was over, and bent their ear until he understood enough about Moodle and how to administer it to go back to Nova Scotia and set up his own Moodle, or I should say our own Moodle, a second one, in our sandbox. So I had mentioned the sandbox earlier in relation to the project, the HP project. We also have a sandbox within the NSCC for the information technology faculty and students to use as a place that they can play, install software, do virtual machine stuff, set up a Moodle without interfering with the NSCC infrastructure. So Dave, he and I, or he mostly, I was just one of the administrators for it, he went back and set up this Moodle development site. Again, it was version 1.9, and whereas the Moodle that I had been using and we had set up previously here was mostly used by the Annapolis Valley campus, just the one site in Middleton. The one that Dave did was for everybody across the province. And so it was available to students and faculty right across Nova Scotia. And again, this underground aspect to it, the grassroots movement, we let people know about this basically when we went to meetings that involved people from other schools, or when we went to our own faculty summits and that kind of thing. So it was very much, what are you doing for your students? Well, we've got this Moodle set up. You're welcome to play with it if you want to. There are the specs for the sandbox Moodle that Dave set up and heavy evangelized. That's right. These are all words that mean computers, and it probably might mean more to others than it does to me. I understand things like Apache, MySQL, and PHP 5. I know what RAM is, and I know what RAID 5 is, but the system itself and 32, 64-bit and FreeBSD, all that kind of stuff, those are just some parameters that we had around our system. And I should mention that you see this little guy that I've got on all these Nerd Alert pages. I'm not being facetious or sarcastic on these pages. This is just something that I'm not familiar with. But see, like here, little heart, we love nerds. I often tell my students to embrace their nerdiness because that's what's going to get them places in life. The fact that they're nerds is why they're with us in the first place. So this is something that actually makes me a bit jealous rather than being sarcastic about it. I think it's wonderful. I don't understand it myself. All right, so we ran with these two systems, our ABC system and the Net172 Moodle, running in tandem for a couple of years. And as we did, the word spread. So here's a little pie chart that we created showing how many of the courses that we were using on these Moodle servers came from the different schools in our college. And you can see the Pac-Man sized pie piece here is from the School of Applied Arts and Applied Arts and New Media. That's where the information technology programs were. And so, I mean, that's the lion's share of the Moodle was used by people in our area. However, we did have courses in the schools of trades and technology. There were a few in business. There were a few in other. There were quite a few in other, actually. And other for us is like continuing ed courses, that kind of thing. And then a few in the School of Health and Human Services and a few in business. So we had a little bit of everything as the word spread about this Moodle thing that we were doing. So much so that in March 2011, the dean of the School of Applied Arts and New Media approached us about creating a Moodle pilot for the whole college. So this is where we felt we had pretty much made it. Now we weren't an underground fly below the radar, fly by the seat of our pants Moodle. We were officially recognized by the NSCC, and all the support and endorsement that came with that. Thankfully, at that time, the dean of the school was a former IT faculty, so he had actually used Moodle himself prior to asking us to do the pilot, so he was familiar with it, and he asked us to make it province-wide. So we combined our ABC and the Net172 Sandbox Moodles into this NSCC pilot. And this was in March 2011. And also we moved from version 1.9 to version 2. And I don't know who among you has been around since version 1 point anything and moved to version 2, but that was a huge hop. Going from 1.9 to 2, we had to we had to find some third-party software that would allow us to convert our 1.9 courses into 2, because when 2 first came out, that wasn't a built-in feature. So we had to get this third-party software that would let us compress it in the right way and then decompress it in the right way so that we could move our courses from our old Moodles into the new one. And that took time and energy. So that was a big deal for us, combining everything into this one pilot. The pilot specs, at this point, rather than working on just one box, we moved to 2. So we had the web stuff and our storage on the one that the specs listed first there, and the SQL was all on the second one. Still using FreeBSD, still using Apache, MySQL, and PHP 5. but we had moved to 2 systems, which gave us a lot more space. So in September of 2011, this is our first actual production year with the new pilot, and we now had 25 instructors, 83 courses, and 643 users. So we're growing. We're growing slowly but surely, and everything's hunky-dory. So we ran for for 2011, 2012, and then we updated, and you can see in this next version that we changed the look and feel of our site. I should point out again that we are primarily faculty. We teach in the IT programs, and this Moodle administration that we do is really a sort of, we don't get a lot of time to do it, so we do it in our spare time. So the Moodle site that we have, it doesn't look nearly as nice as some of the ones that I've seen at this iMoot. The iMoot site itself is gorgeous. We just don't have the resources, the time, or the energy to do the research and do the customization. So we sort of work with the shell that's there, and little by little, bit by bit, we learn a little bit more each time we do something. So, for example, in the second version, this header here, that is a JPEG that I created and learned how to install into the Moodle installation. And I was pretty darn proud of that. But, when I see some of the things that other people are doing, it's not really all that great. But anyway, the second year we knew a little bit more, and we had more people. So that next year we had 91 instructors, 304 courses, and 1,300 users. So that the previous year we had 25 instructors, 83 courses, and 643 users. We doubled in size. We tripled the number of instructors, and we more than tripled the number of courses. The other thing that I should mention is when we became a pilot, we had, up until that point, for anybody that wanted to use the system, we had to get them to create a profile first. So, in some Moodle sites, when you go to use them, you have to create your profile to set yourself up. That's what we were doing. But once we got the endorsement of the NSCC, we were able to authenticate our users through the NSCC login. So the login that they use to access the NSCC systems was the same login they would use for Moodle. And that made things so much simpler for us. Because rather than having everybody create their own user and potentially forget their password or what they gave themselves for a username or whatever it was, they just used their NSCC username and password, and the only thing they had to do was put in an email address. So it became a lot simpler for us. So there's the second year. And then the third year is the one that we've just finished, and we feel at this point that, yes, we definitely can. We are the little engine that could. We have a Moodle that is operational and working like a well-oiled machine. Now, you will notice that this year we have fewer instructors, and I think that's because last year there were a lot of people kicking the tires. So we had a lot of people set up courses for us that they later didn't go on to use. But now we have these 78 instructors that we have. They're really using the system. And you can tell because the number of courses that we have has gone from 300 to 500. So the instructors that we have are using the system more, and we've gone up about 200 in our users. So this is we feel, a pretty comfortable setup for us. We always welcome anyone who wants to continue or to use Moodle, but this is about 10 to 15% of the population of the NSCC that uses it for blended delivery. And I should also mention, I keep saying blended delivery. These are, that's right, Dave, we've moved from experimentation to production. Blended delivery, these are faculty who teach both online and face-to-face. And but mostly they teach face-to-face, and so it's considered blended delivery because it's not online. Our online community has a different LMS that they use, but it isn't. It has only just gotten installed. It's not in production to the point where they're ready to accept the blended portion as well. So we do the blended and they do the online. Eventually we'll all be on one, but for now we're doing blended. And here are the system specs for the current system. Now we're using virtual machines, for those of you who understand what a virtual machine is, and we use VMware, and those are the two systems, what they have. And there's the host. We're still using FreeBSD, but now we're on version 9, and Apache, MySQL, and PHP 5. So that's the system that we're working on now. We have just recently gotten some old servers from the NSCC to help beef up our storage, and Dave is constantly finagling hardware so that we can grow, because as we get more users and they use it more hardcore, we're finding our storage, we need more and more and more of it. So just to let you know a little bit about the current system, if you want to take a look at it yourself, you can't do much without logging in, but you can, you could go take a look at it if you want to. Just a second here, let me see if I can, URL. There's the URL over there in the chat window if you just want to click on that. You can go take a look at the system yourself. It'll let you drill down a little bit into the courses. Also, I've put the link to our Moodle blended delivery system in the presentation area on iMoot. If you want to go there and just click on that link, it's there under Activities and Resources. So yeah, take a look at it and feel free to wander around as much as you can. You'll eventually hit brick walls and you try to access courses that need enrollment keys and so forth. Just a second, I need to take a drink of water. I'll be right back. This is the most talking I've done for several weeks. We haven't been teaching for a couple of weeks now, so I'm not used to all the gabbing. All right, so that's the current system. Let me tell you a little bit about it. The theme we're using is Afterburner. We've been using Afterburner for a couple of years. I really like it. Well, originally I really liked it because of these links, these flyout links that are here. They're very useful, and I find it incredibly quick. So and easy to customize. So the Afterburner theme, I found out about it at a Moodle actually, at iMoot a couple of years ago, I think. I heard somebody speaking about it. And I investigated it, and it's quick, easy to modify, and I really like it. So it's included with Moodle. It used to be an add-on, but now I think it's one of the included themes that you have. The customizations I've done to it, we've done, I should say. The banner at the top, again, that's just a JPEG. If you do any research on the theme, they'll tell you exactly. Oh, is that right? Okay. In 2.7, it's an add-on again. So we'll have to remember that. We're currently in 2.6.2 plus, I think. We just went to. So that's what we'll be using for the next year, unless we find there's a huge bug in it, and then we have to go fix that. But we installed that last week, and everybody's up and running on it and seems fairly happy with it. So, yeah, we've got a customized banner at the top, and the center panel is also a customization. Oh, yes? Yeah, I hope not, too. that's always a pain when you install something, then you have to fix it a month later because it's so buggy. But Moodle hasn't been like that, thankfully. It hasn't been too bad. There was one version that we installed once that we quickly had to fix, but other than that, they've been good, stable installations. So yeah, the center panel, I said I didn't want to see any courses or any categories, and instead I just put in this HTML page that has some freely available images in it. These are Creative Commons licensed images that I got, and you can just click on those to go to. Our site is organized by school. These are the 5 schools that are in our college. Then other learning is, as I said, continuing ed and so forth, and this last one is faculty resources, stuff that we have for faculty. So that's what we have in the middle of our site. And then finally on that front page, we have these frequently asked questions. Is the only other thing that isn't part of the basic package for Moodle. This is only for faculty, so if you log in as faculty, you'll see that frequently asked questions. And the way that I did that was for the non-editing teacher role on the front page, I added all our teachers, and then I said this particular HTML block, just show that to me for non-editing teachers so they can all see it. I could have created a custom group for it, but I found that non-editing teachers worked okay for the front page, so that works well for that particular thing. So other than that, it's just the regular look and feel of a Moodle site. Oh yeah, these NSCC links up here at the top, those are just some pages that I added for going to the NSCC and seeing some of the regular documentation that we include with each of our courses. The frequently asked questions, just to let you know how that works, it's just an HTML page. It's actually a file in one of our faculty training courses, and I just created a whole bunch of HTML with internal links based on questions that faculty ask. And these questions, having them there is having them there is really useful to faculty. They access these all the time. And it's also really useful to me as a system administrator because when people write to me and ask me, how do I make somebody a co-teacher in my course? I can just go here, get the link for the co-teacher, and paste that in an email and send it back to them. And that accomplishes two purposes. It makes sure that I don't have to repeat myself over and over again telling people how to do things. And it also shows the faculty that there is this place where you can go and look at the questions that other people have asked. So that has proven to be very useful for us. And each of the individual questions, if you click on one of them, it just takes you further down the page, shows you what the original question was, and the answer that came from the system administrator. So it allows people to look at what's there and see if maybe the question they're wondering about already has an answer. That is useful. The only other sort of standardization that we do across the site is that we insist that they use the same theme for each course. Now, within a course, they can individualize it as much as they want, change the blocks around that they want, or specify that they want topics or weeks for their center pane. But the banner across the top is the same in all the courses, so they can't change the theme inside the course. We were letting them change the theme originally, but the students were complaining that they would go from one course to another, and it would be so completely different that they would get confused about where they were and what they were up to. So eventually we just said, hey, everybody's using this theme, and you can, standardize, you can individualize within the parameters of the course, but you have to use this theme. And that gives them the same banner across the top, which really helps their comfort level. The other thing that we don't let faculty change in their courses is the short name and the long name, or the course ID. And And the reason for that is because we use the long name and the short name. We use the long name for sorting our courses within categories, and we use the short name for searching for things. So when we were letting people change those things, we were getting all kinds of different, like our course codes are 4 letters, a space, then 4 numbers. Well, sometimes people were putting the space in, and sometimes they weren't. Sometimes they were putting a dash in. Sometimes they would put the name of the course before the code. And also, with these courses, we have a number of people who teach the same course, so we like to put the instructor's name at the end of the name of the course, which helps us with sorting and finding, and it helps the student with finding things. So we just took away the ability to change these things, and we find it's a lot more helpful when we're trying to administer the site. And when you get to a point where you've got like 80 instructors, 500 courses, 1,500 users, it's kind of nice not to lose sight of a course. So as far as the system administration responsibilities are concerned, I'm the front end. I talk to the users. I handle all the backups and restores. I create courses for people. Help them with questions that they have about their courses. That kind of, I customize the front page. I do the customization of the install. All that kind of stuff is my responsibility. And Dave is responsible for the back end. He does all the maintenance. He makes sure that the infrastructure is available, running all our licenses are working. He does the updates whenever we install a new update of the system. So he does the back end and I do the front end. And those 2 little icons that are there, those are our administration icons. That's Captain Underpants for those of you who don't have little kids that might have read Captain Underpants. And I don't know what Dave did. It's like Super Cow, maybe? I don't know. It's silly. Anyway, I should also mention that as faculty, we have different logins than our system administration. So I log in one way to be the administrator, and I have a second login to use when I'm teaching. So I can keep those responsibilities completely separate and not accidentally change something that I shouldn't when I'm in as a teacher. For our faculty, we don't require them to have any training. They can ask us for a course. We'll create the course for them, and they're free to go and play as much as they want. We've never had anybody break our Moodle, so that hasn't been a problem. If they want training, and most of them do when they start out, we conduct workshops. And, that's another thing I do. I do the faculty training and maintain all that stuff. Yeah. So basically, it's a 2-day deal. The first day, this little flow chart that's here shows my IT training. Basically, you go from creating your Moodle account right through to your course being ready to go. And these things that are in blue are things that we have explanations of in our Intro to Moodle course. So we just start at the beginning with a course, and by the end of the day, they're set to go with all the basics all done. And then the second day, they request particular topics that they want to talk about, and we will, like, for example, we've done things on rubrics, on the grade book, on quizzes, on workbooks, things like that. So things that are more advanced, perhaps, that aren't necessary to create a basic Moodle. And they're usually requested by people who have worked with Moodle for a year or two, and we're just wondering about this one particular thing. And these courses, because Dave and I both teach both online and face-to-face, we give them that option. If there are enough people at one site who want Moodle training, I'll go to the site and do the training there. Otherwise, if there's just one or two, I will bring the online users or the online trainees in while I'm doing another session for face-to-face. So I'll be doing online. I have my headset on. I'll be doing online at the same time I'm doing face-to-face. And so far it's worked quite well. The other faculty resources that we have, this is that button at the bottom of the page. We have an area, a sandbox within Moodle for developing courses. So these are courses that you're not offering right now, but you want to develop. That's used quite a bit by people getting courses up and running. There's a Moodle administration area that's for Dave and I, where we put notes and we do testing and that kind of thing. We have a number of Moodle training courses. For faculty, there's an Intro to Moodle course. There's a More Moodle course. And right now, and from last year, we have a Moodle 2.5 Plus course that shows you all the new features in 2.5 because we found, again, that that was quite a leap from 2.2 to 2.5. So there was a lot of new stuff that was there, and so we created a course for that. And the general interest area, that's for generally for things that don't fit anywhere else. We have a couple of campuses who, within their department, want to have discussions, and it doesn't really fit. They don't want the students to see that part of it, so we hide it in our faculty resources. So anything that doesn't fit anywhere else goes into general interest. We would love to celebrate and acknowledge the tremendous support that we get from our users. This has been a really positive experience for us. I can't say that that there's been much negative about it. The teachers we work with are great. Our students are great. The curriculum developers who use the site are very positive. It's been a really good experience. And I think part of the magic might be that people know that we're doing this in our spare time, that this is just a little tool for us to use, and it's not our full-time gig, so they don't really feel that they have the right to complain because, you know, give us a break here. We're just doing this in our spare time. So, but we've got a really supportive community of users. Our academic chairs, those are our department heads. If for people who don't understand the concept of academic chairs, our bosses, our supervisors, basically, have been really great. They provide training money. They provide money for training, for travel. They petition the NSCC for support and infrastructure. And they also try to lighten our loads, especially in the fall semester, give us a course or half a course off so that we can have time to get the Moodle for the year up and running. And since we've joined the NSCC and we're no longer in an underground railway, IT services has been fantastic. They've been managing our licenses for different things that we need for accessing the internet and accessing, working through the NSCC systems. And just recently, Dave has gone and gotten 3 old surplus servers that they had so that we could use them for our Moodle. So that's it. As I said, it's just a little story about what we're doing and how we're doing it, and we thought it was about time that we shared it with the rest of the world in case there was anybody who who wanted to set up their own Moodle. So thank you very much for your time, and we do have a little feedback thing on the iMoot site. So here, I'm just going over here. I've got it in a text file. If you would like to, you can go and do the feedback. It's just 7 questions asking you about who you are and what you're doing. If you'd like to go and fill that out, we really appreciate it. And once you do that, then there is a participation certificate there. So as long as you go into the feedback and give us some feedback, then you can get a participation certificate. So that's it. Does anybody have, yes, we do, I wish. Does anybody have any questions? No? Write them in the chat or speak. Questions, Carly. Great. All right. Well, thanks again. And for the future, it's really hard to say. It really depends on our organization. Like I say, they have a separate learning management system that they're just getting up and running. So truthfully, in the future, we're hoping that they'll welcome us into that learning management system. It's called Desire to Learn. But for the foreseeable future, probably Dave thinks for as long as we will be with the college, and we're fairly long in the tooth, so he's going to be there for another 2 or 3 years, and I'm going to be there for another 5, and we're thinking that we might be there for as long as we're there. But we really just hope to continue the way we are and, capture about 15% of the college community. 2 more years at least, Dave says. But we've really reached now, we've sort of gone beyond development. We're in maintenance mode. So we're comfortable with what we're doing, and we welcome anybody that wants to join us, but we're not planning any big changes. Thanks, Tim.
Hi Kathleen, Shane here. Just wanted to thank you on behalf of the whole iMoot team for sharing. Always enjoy a case study. Always something to learn from them. So thanks for taking the time, and it was very interesting hearing the story.
Thanks, Shane. Thanks, Tara. You too.